Welcome to Coaches Clips. We are doing RJ Hampton today. Going to take a look at the guard out of New Zealand Breakers in the NBL in Australia. He came originally from Dallas, Texas, and was drafted 24th overall. Was traded, but ultimately ended up with the Denver Nuggets. So we're going to take a look at his offense, his defense, how that fits with what the Denver Nuggets are doing, and what to expect next season. So we'll jump right in. The first thing we're going to look at is him as a pick and roll ball handler. I'm going to let the play happen and then talk about it. So here early in the game, New Zealand's game plan was come in and attack LaMelo Ball and Andrew Ogilvy. So LaMelo's here. Andrew Ogilvy here. What they're going to do is come in with Brandon Ashley is just going to set a side pick and roll. RJ is going to attack that. So a couple things coming into this pick and roll. RJ is going to come around this way. He's got to first read Ogilvy. What is he going to do? What looks like they're setting up to do is LaMelo go underneath. Ogilvy come off flat into a drop coverage to contain that penetration. So that's his first read here. Ogilvy, for some reason, steps this way, makes him late in that drop coverage, so it opens up this lane here. So now RJ's next read is what he's doing currently. He's looking right at David Anderson, seeing what he's going to do. David Anderson steps in to stop the drive, to kick out here to Finn Delaney. He's a 40% three-point shooter, so easy read there. If he stays or just digs in with his arm, that's the key to keep driving. So he stays, doesn't even get a dig in, so this lane is still wide open. Now we're at the free throw line. The next read is looking at Sunday Deck. He's guarding Sek Henry in the corner. Sek Henry is another good shooter, 38% 3 and 7 attempts. So RJ's reading him. Does he stay attached to the shooter, which he should? If he stays attached, it's a continue to drive to the paint and get to the rim. If he dives in, then that's a kick out to the three. So he does a great job reading all different levels on this pick and roll. Comes off, takes a hard dribble there. What I like to see him improve on is getting contact here into Ogilvy, into his chest so he can't jump, and getting an and one there. Another side pick and roll, bringing Brandon Ashley over. Sunday Deck got switched on to him. Josh Boone was originally guarding Brandon Ashley, so he brings him over, comes into it again. Gonna do the same reads, see where the guy setting the screen, his defender, what he's doing here. So Sunday in this case, I'm gonna read that and read what LaMelo's doing. Again, what they were trying to do all game long is getting that drop coverage. Sunday come off flat here. So Sunday's going to come off flat. LaMelo is going to go underneath to catch up. And then Sunday returns to Brandon Ashley. But what Brandon Ashley does, he realizes this, we're about 5 minutes into the game. He knows that LaMelo is trying to get underneath. So what he's going to do, really heads up play, is slip here. Him slipping causes LaMelo to try to drop underneath down here, which gives RJ a ton of space, especially since Sunday's coming off flat here. So again, Sunday came off flat. LaMelo's way down below the free throw line. So now RJ's got a ton of space, and what he's doing is, again, looking right at Josh Boone. What is he doing? His feet are opened up here, so he's got all focus looking at RJ. RJ comes and attacks that, and it's just an easy kick out to, again, a good three-point shooter. Here, more of a slot pick and roll. So again, you got sections of the court. Right here is about the slot. Then the wing kind of extends to this section here, and then there's the corner. Same on both sides, and then basically lane line to lane line is the top. So he's kind of in a slot right here. Brandon actually is setting up to have him go left, but ends up flipping his hips to get him to go to the one shooter side. Again, in the same type of drop coverage, Josh Boone's back off of Brandon Ashley to stop the penetration, or at least to hold it up. Sunday's going to go. They switched Sunday on to RJ because they're running this so much. So he's a more active defender, is going to go over top of screens and trail to force him into that drop coverage, and he can recover from there. What RJ does here is reject the screen. I think he needs to improve here a little bit on knowing when to reject it. So he's got two shooters here, one there, one in the corner over here. With Sec Henry being so high, he's top of the key extended. This brings his defender well above the free throw line. So if he comes this way, that help defense is early. He's got to get rid of it around the three-point line, not getting that penetration he wants. Penetration off a pick and roll, you want to get feet inside the paint here. So that causes defense to collapse. And now you got open shooters all around. And another thing with rejecting a screen, you got to get him to jump towards the screen. That's a big key to rejecting a screen, as he jumps towards the screen. Sunday stays still. He's flat. He's even with RJ. So it's just a quick lunge step here for him. If he jumps this way, now he's got to recover and trail. So he does a good job lunging there, stopping that initial straight line drive. Gets RJ to come out. Now he's just forcing him into Todd Blanchfield right here. And look, he's kicking the ball out 20 feet from the rim. So not getting any kind of penetration. Sec does a good job of just swinging it to get to an open shooter. So here is a design play. You see teams like the Knicks, the Nets, they run this all the time. Throw the ball in. And what the next part of this is, RJ's going to come off for a little pitch. He's going to read how LaMelo's guarding him. If LaMelo comes and trails, he's going to catch it and go downhill. If LaMelo jumps towards the ball and goes over top, he's going to continue the play. Or if what LaMelo does ends up doing is going underneath, again, he's going to continue with the play. But here's just a quick action. It's really to get the defense moving again and to try to get a quick drive downhill. So LaMelo goes underneath here. So that now keys RJ here to come off a double drag screen, so what you'll see is, forgive me, I'm trying to get my pen tool to work here. So Brandon's going to set a screen here. Finn's going to come around and set another screen here. RJ's going to come off this flat. What he's setting up is a dive action here from Brandon Ashley and a flare from Finn. This way it makes it a little bit harder for the defense to cover a pick and roll, because you got three people involved now, and it gets someone rolling to the rim, essentially getting a pick and roll and a pick and pop all in the same play. So the way Illawarra Hawks are going to defend this, LaMelo's going to trail, Josh Boone's going to drop, cover that dive, and David Anderson is going to hedge off of that last screen. So here you see Josh Boone's in drop coverage here. Brandon Ashley is just going to keep diving get into the paint. Finn's going to flare out here. This stretches David Anderson, so he can't hedge for too long. He has to get back to that shooter. So with David Anderson, his job here is to get RJ to dribble back towards half court. Once he dribbles back past half court, he has to recover to his shooter. So does his job here. Finn's flaring out, so he sees that he's got to get out. RJ does a really good job of taking a hesitation retreat dribble. He lifts up a little bit, gets LaMelo to attack this right at him rather than dropping below. Once David Anderson leaves, that's RJ's cue to just come downhill. So he leaves, does a really good job. LaMelo came at his body, not in front of him. So he's got him beat here. So now he's got to attack. So next thing he's got to do is get downhill and read the bottom three defenders. So the first look he's going to look at is Todd Blanchfield right here. He's guarding Jordan Nagati in the corner. Jordan's not a great three-point shooter, shooting about 27% last year. So he's got to read Blanchfield. Does he come up and stop the drive? If so, it's a kick out. If he stays attached, which he shouldn't, but if he does, that's a drive to the rim. So that's a quick read, see where his momentum's taking him. Next, he's got to look at Josh Boone here. Does Josh Boone come step up over here? If he does, that's a lob to the top for Brandon Ashley. If he stays with Brandon Ashley, again, it's finishing at the rim. And then lastly, looking at Sunday Deck, what he does, if Josh Boone comes up, tries to stop the drive up here, does Sunday come down and cover Brandon Ashley? If so, it's a kick out to Henry over here for an open three. So those are the three reads right there. He also, depending on how quickly David Anderson gets out, could take one more dribble here and hook past to Finn Delaney. But because his lane right here is so big, he's got to attack that. So as you see, he comes and attacks. He makes the right read, but Todd Blanchfield's not the most athletic. I think he can get further into the paint to right about here, force Josh Boone to step up, or if he stays with him, it's a layup. If he steps up again, it's a lob. But as you see, Sunday's going to drop down as this drive continues, and RJ just makes the kick out. Another thing here that he should do is, again, relocate out here to give Jordan an option. He kind of stays here, which is fine, puts pressure on David Anderson, but doesn't give Jordan many options as it crowds the paint. Again, going to the side pick and roll all game long, especially when Melo's guarding them. They're going into a drop coverage. LaMelo is going to again try to get underneath. Josh Boone is just going to come off flat. RJ is just going to come off that screen and weigh his options here. So he gets under the screen. So now RJ's here. Something Giannis saw a ton of, especially in the playoffs the past couple of years, is this build the wall type defense. What the wall basically is just to stop penetration. It's to get as many guys in front of the ball as you can to not let the ball get inside the paint. Because once the ball gets inside the paint, the defense is at a disadvantage. So they build this wall. They're comfortable with RJ taking a step up three. Because he only shot about 30% from three. So they're going to force him to drive into traffic. But what he does a really good job of is kind of hesitation in and out to get LaMelo to come at him like he's going to take the shot. Because he comes at him, he's able to get downhill and force the issue on this wall. So in and out hesitation, LaMelo's coming at his top hip rather than getting in front of him. So he's able to beat him downhill. Got Ashley diving here. Josh Boone does a good job of bailing on that wall and covering that. So that's not open. Now he wants to put pressure on David Anderson here. If Anderson comes over to stop this penetration, it's a kick out to Finn. So again, he's got two defenders here, 40% three-point shooter on the wing there. Easy decision, does a good job getting as deep as he can. Tough pass to contort your body like that. It gets a layup for Finn. Here's a set play, just a backdoor action or a secondary action off of a high pick and roll that New Zealand ran. The timing was way off and gets puts RJ in a spot where the play is not going to happen, so he's got to make a play on his own. So he's going to come set a screen. Sunday's bailing on that to get underneath. Ogilvy's staying pretty attached to Brandon Ashley because RJ is about 15-20 feet away from the three-point line. So no sense of coming off flat, leaving his guy if he's not a shooting threat out here. So what the action was supposed to be is Henry's going to set a back screen on Ashley. He's going to come around and dive. The timing is supposed to be he's coming downhill. If that's open, he's able to make this pass here. If that's not open, Henry's just going to pop to the wing, assuming Blanchfield helps down. Now he's got some space to get a shot off. What ends up happening is he sets the screen. Brandon actually doesn't come off it hard at all, and they actually bump into each other. So it throws off the timing completely. So they bump up to each other here. Obviously that Ashley pass is not going to be there, so he pulls up looking to get it to Henry here, but he's not ready on the timing. So now he's got an active defender on him. He's got to go one-on-one. Does a good job of faking a little bit this way, coming back hard to his left. And it gets him on his hip here. So now he's got to look at David Anderson and Andrew Ogilvy, what they're going to do. Does David Anderson step up? It's a kick out to Finn. Does he step up? It's a drop off to Brandon Ashley, or a combination of the two. Then it's his choice. Or do they stay attached to their shooters and he can finish at the rim? So it gets David Anderson is completely flat-footed. He's not moving. So now his job is just push as far as he can. Andrew Ogilvy is facing this way, so he knows he's getting help side over here. Brandon Ashley's got to push down a little bit, put more pressure on Ogilvy. He starts to come. This could be a pitch, but with RJ's athleticism, he's able to get to the rim. I would like to see him start to get off 2 feet here. That way he can draw contact with the shoulder and not get knocked off his spot so easily. So he gets hit. I think this is a foul. I think it gets called more times than not in the NBA as a foul. But again, if he goes off 2 feet, he can finish stronger around the rim. Here's where he does a really good job of rejecting the screen, even to the two shooter side. So we got Finn and Tom Abercrombie. Tom Abercrombie almost shot 50% from three. He's about 46% three-point shooter on 4 attempts. So really good shooter here. Again, Finn's a really good shooter as well. So shooting on this side, perfectly okay to reject towards that side because their defenders aren't going to be in the paint. They're going to be attached to the shooters. So Ashley comes up here. Again, LaMelo's pretty much straight up and down. So what RJ does a really good job of is faking left, crosses over this way. That gets LaMelo to come off flat and gets stuck on his heels. Also pushing left here gets Josh Boone to come up. What they looked like they were going to do is come out in a hedge with LaMelo trailing into a little bit of a trap. So he's reading that. He sees Josh Boone's already up. There's some space in between him and Brandon Ashley. So he's pushing Josh to come up a little bit higher before it happens. So now Josh gets more attached. He realizes that this crossover is about to happen. He's going to have to try to drop, but because RJ did a good job of pushing up left, that he's too high to recover. Again, LaMelo came off flat now. So RJ's going to attack right on his hip. He ends up getting him to reach, and he just goes through, like in football, it's an arm tackle. He goes right through it. Gets through that. So now his eyes are going to be on Todd Blanchfield and David Anderson. What do they do? Does Blanchfield step out? Then it's a kick to Tom. If he stays attached, you continue on to the next level. In a lot of ways, it's like a running back breaking through the line of scrimmage. You would imagine this is the line of scrimmage. This is the linebackers. This is the secondary. So he gets through that line of scrimmage. Blanchfield stays attached, so now he's onto the secondary. David Anderson's coming over, but he's not coming up. Because he's just coming over, he's in the restricted area. Can't draw a charge, so RJ can attack that. Worst case, he can get him up in the air. He has Finn dive and baseline for a drop off, but his athleticism so good that he's able just to get up and make a tough reverse finish there. Here in a little bit of a secondary break, pick and roll. Brandon Ashley, he's going to come, set the screen on the side. We got one shooter here, two on the opposite side. I have RJ come down off that. So what they switched to was Josh Boone's going to stay attached. They don't want to get the roll man involved, so LaMelo's going to follow on top. Brandon does a good job of rolling, taking LaMelo as far as he can, keeping Josh tight to him, just occupying space with these two defenders and help. So now that RJ's coming off, ideally he'd be closer. I'd like to see him try to attack Josh Boone's hip more. But now his eyes are where they're supposed to be onto Sunday. Seeing what he does, he's guarding Sec Henry, so a good shooter out there. Seeing what he does, he's flattening out. So now it looks like he's just going to dig in. He's not going to step over to stop penetration. So he stunts at him, meaning he takes a step towards him, but returns to shooter. So he returns to the shooter. RJ does a good job of picking it up high, getting over that dig. And when he picks that up, he's able to put a shoulder into LaMelo. David Anderson is a smart defender. He sees he picks it up, so he goes back to a shooter, so he can't kick that out. Right now, his only option is to go up, unless he's able to make a crazy baseline pass here to Tom Abercrombie. He limits his options here, so I'd like to see him get a little bit stronger and be able to take this shoulder bump and go towards the rim. Instead, he hits that shoulder, has to flail it up. He draws a foul, which is really good. He gets to the free throw line, but I think the next step here is to drive through LaMelo, get the foul, and get a better chance at an and one. Here's a pretty standard baseline out of bounds play. Colleges, NBA teams, they all run it. What you're going to see here is RJ's going to set a screen here. Tom Abercrombie has the choice to use it or to go off of the Brandon Ashley screen here. So he can either just come right off or go this way, which he ends up doing. So then RJ will come off the Brandon Ashley screen here. Sort of a choice, baseline out of bounds play. Not really called, they just kind of read how the defenders are guarding them. So now he gets it on the side. Typically, what you see with these stagger screen for that person that threw the ball out of bounds, he comes off here. For some reason, he just goes strong side. Just assumes RJ's coming off that screen, so he's just going to space the floor, and then Tom will just come back, and they'll get to the two-shooter side over here. So it comes off this pretty wide. He's going towards half court. I like to see him come more, as much down or as far downhill as he can. Again, Ogilvy staying attached. Going to come over top on the screen. So Ogilvy bails and has to come off flat now because RJ's coming downhill with LaMelo late. So off that screen, we'll back it up a little bit. Once he's here, he's reading Ogilvy. He's also looking at David Anderson. What is he doing? Is he coming over to stop that penetration? Again, they're trying to build the wall a little bit here. So if they stops the penetration, it's a kick out to Finn. So that's what they do, but he does a good job of recovering. RJ still probably has that pass, but it's not as open because he's not able to get to paint penetration. Ashley's a little bit late on the roll. Right now, RJ seeing this, he's waiting for him to come down because he's got LaMelo late behind him. And this is a mismatch for him. So he's waiting. He sees Angus Glover step in. So that's a tough pass. He's going to wait until he can post up. So now he's post up. But what he mistakenly does is picks up his dribble within the three-point line. That crowd spacing. If he's one more step outside here in the three-point line, that gets Ogilvy up a little bit higher. This gives more space for the pass. And this is a really tough passing angle. What I think he should do is, Sek comes up, he should just swing it to the wing, allow Henry to enter it into the post for the mismatch. But he's got his weight on his back foot. He's got a tough passing angle, and there's three defenders with poor spacing. So this is going to be a turnover every time. You just got to learn not to pick up the dribble there and be patient when there's a mismatch in the post. Get it to the right player to get the entry pass in, excuse me. Here's a really good read, really good setup as well. So again, it's a really high pick and roll coming up here, setting the screen. What the Hawks are going to do is ice the screen. So icing the screen just means forcing it sideline. So Angus Glover, he's going to jump to top side. Ogilvy's going to come up and try to take off this baseline here. So for RJ here, he's going to have to drop it off to Brandon Ashley on the screen. But what he does a really good job of is forcing Glover to jump up high and lose ground backwards, causing Ogilvy to come over a little bit more than he wants to and getting space on the sideline. So as you see, crosses over, he's got to jump here. Now there's some space that he can attack on the sideline. And Brandon actually does a good job of just spacing, putting Ogilvy in a bind here. So he goes back to him. Now that sideline's open. Now RJ won. So really good job there. So now that he's got both these guys beat, his eyes are here on David Anderson with the shooter in the corner. What does he do? If he steps in, it's a kick out. If he doesn't, it's a continue to drive to the next level. Doesn't move, so we're down to the next level. Now we got eyes on Blanchfield. Does he step over? If so, you got a lob or a drop off to Tom Abercrombie, who's diving. If he stays in the restricted area, that's a finish at the rim. So he doesn't budge, and that's an easy dunk for RJ. So here they ran a horn set. Again, that's when you have someone on each elbow and shooter in each corner. They play it much more extended, up towards the lane line extended on the 3-point line. So what Finn just came over, set a screen, guard to guard screen here. What this is doing is trying to get a switch on with David Anderson here. So he comes off to the screen. Now Brandon Ashley is going to come up and set a screen with two bigs guarding the pick and roll. So that's the action there. They don't switch, kind of a soft screen from Finn, but he still pulls it out. He's going to set this screen, come back a little bit. It's patient. They're switching their coverage up on RJ a lot, try to get him to think. So come back this side to get him to come over top. I think they were a little confused, the Hawks, on the coverage because he's pushing so much to the sideline, but so is Ogilvy. So if you got both defenders here, it's an easy just downhill. So I think they were mixed up on their coverage, but he does a good job of faking this way, getting him to pause, and now he can get around. And Ogilvy here doesn't have a chance. He's too far off the sideline to catch up to RJ there. So he's got him beat. Again, same play, read him. He's really attached to Tom Abercrombie over there. So that you can tell RJ sees it. He's going to come downhill no matter what. And then next is here. Oh, bad circle there. LaMelo Ball. This is an easy read. He's wiping his shoes. He should be here in the paint like Blanchfield was last play, but not in the best help side. So easy read all around for RJ. Just gets downhill. Needs to finish that. Now transition where he should make an immediate impact with the Nuggets. So here just gets a defensive rebound. It's in really good position. Forgot who did it, but there was a study done where defensive rebounds in general are more likely to come off to the nail. So the nail is just this area right here in the front of the free throw line. So what they used to do is they would nail in a nail here to measure out 15 feet from the middle of the rim. So now it's just considered the nail. So rebounds are more likely to come there. So he does a good job of getting to that position. Who he was guarding already bailed on defense. So he's able to just go up, get the ball, attack. So he's got Angus Glover here guarding him. Looks like, I think it's Jordan Nagati here pushing with him. And the other defenders on the outside of him. So he's going to push a little bit to this right to get his defender leaning this way a little bit so he can come back to where there's no help side. Angus Glover just bails on it, turns his hips and runs because RJ is so dangerous in transition. Just turns and runs. So now it's just about beating him to the rim. Does a good job picking it up, protecting the ball here, covering it up, putting his shoulder in his chest, and being in control. Takes that control step with his left foot. Is able to get a floater into the rim for an and one. Here's where he's showing his explosiveness. Looks like he gets shot out of a cannon. Here's where he'll be. Like I said, impact from day one. Able to get in transition. Bad pass, just beats everyone down the floor. Drops it off for an easy layup. But what I'd like to see is he opens up his shoulders here to face the defender. What I'd like to see is get more parallel to the baseline, so he can use this shoulder, put it in his chest, and he can get contact for an and one, or like what he did, to drop off. So when you open up, the NBA players are bigger, faster, stronger. They're going to go straight up and use verticality and knock him off his spot. So it makes it a lot harder to play. So just a minor detail there. but does a good job of getting him up in the air and just dropping it off for an easy layup. Here they get a defense rebound. Does a good job showing to the big, so Brandon Ashley's here. He's never going to be a guy that gets it and goes. So he does a good job of just running with him to the middle, making an easy pass for him and pushing. So now in transition, his read is just David Anderson. Simplified read. Once he steps up or once he stops in the paint, that's when it's the drop off. If he leans a little bit towards Finn, that's when he finishes. So he stops here. He reads that, makes a drop off pass. He could get even deeper, but and Finn needs to do a better job of getting the right angle. He comes off this way, gives him a tough angle, and he misses the layup. But RJ gets it on time and on target. Just misses that. Here's where we gotta improve a little bit for RJ. Does a good job, really good job here at getting rebound in traffic. Strong with it, able to get it and go. He's got 3 defenders back for the Hawks. All 4 of his teammates are behind him. So he should recognize this, that it's right now a 4-on-1 or 1-on-4. So pull it out, and this is where you should completely pull it out. Get it, dribble back out here, and get into something. He's got to recognize it's the 4th quarter, less than 2 minutes left, and there's 21 seconds on the shot clock. So no need to push it. Instead, he sizes up. He's got Angus Glover on him. He wants to beat him towards baseline, but he has to realize he has help defense. Top Abercrombie is the only one into the picture. So again, just has to be more aware, situational awareness here. He gets to foul, but again, needs to be aware of the situation. Looking more on his jump shot now. So again, a common theme, just coming off. It's just going to come off a slot drive here. Just going to push. He reads the defender here. He steps over, so it's a kick out. What he does a really good job of is relocating after the kick out. So a lot of young players will stay or kind of float in this area. What he does is gets right out, gets to a spot where Abercrombie can kick it out to him. So he catches this pretty casually, walks into it, goes left, right, into his shot. So gets his feet right. Feet are in fine position, but what he's got to work on is catching on balance. So right now he's on his toes. His feet are pretty angled here. He's not straight up and down. As you see, he's leaning forward. Knees are over toes, or past toes. So he's leaning forward. When that happens, it's hard to control your shot. You're worried about getting up and down. So he pushes forward, comes off to the right of the rim. Here does a really good job of just turning anything into transition. So dead ball, catches the ball at about 92 feet from the rim. Patient, and then just blows by Sunday. Does a really good job of between step back on the stop of a dime, going from full speed. Gets Sunday to really get downhill. Ends up getting about 10 to 15 feet of space into a pull-up. Really good job of being straight up and down when he goes into this jump shot. Ball doesn't come as far over to his right hip as he'd like, causing him to come up like that. But really good technique here. Gets, like I said, straight up and down on that jump shot. Ball's a little bit too far above his head that I'd like. I'd like to see him get it over just a little bit more. But good extension. Just misses it short. Here comes off a double drag screen. So it's going to be a screen here. Screen there is going to come off flat. So he sees LaMelo, stays with him. He ends up trailing him. And then going under. So good hedge here by David Anderson to see LaMelo's behind, just to slow it down a little bit. So he steps out. Does a good job here of just attacking the open side here, and nice hesitation cross to get LaMelo off balance. Really good job of creating space here. Goes right into his jump shot, straight up and down. Really good form. He's taking all the right shots. His percentages concern people, but it doesn't concern me because he's taking the right shots. He's got the right form. He just got to get more reps in. Ends up drawing the foul there. So now looking more at him as a playmaker. Another horn set, just coming off a pick and roll here, attacking shooter side. LaMelo's the common theme of where they were attacking. So it comes off, reads LaMelo that sticks to the shooter, not budging. Comes over, David Anderson completely turns his back to Finn Delaney. And this is a really tough pass. You got two defenders on you, live ball dribble, throwing it opposite hand to the corner, right on target. This should be a jump shot, but he ends up dribbling and getting a tougher shot. Here's another live ball hook pass that he's going to come. Just going to set that screen. He's going to come off. Doesn't have anything coming off that screen. Josh Boone hedges. Sunday's back, cutting that drive off. We got Finn lifting opposite corner, which is good. You'll see that gets Blanchfield to lift as well. Ashley can dive. And Dave Anderson will move over a little bit more with the shooter being over here. So good spacing here. Sees that pass early. So you see he comes off the screen, reads that he doesn't have, sees Sunday coming. He sees that Brendan Ashley pass is going to be tough because Blanchfield's stepping here. He could easily get a hand on it. So he sees he's going to make this pass right now. Hook pass, right on target, right on time. Here, comes off a screen, gets a switch that he wants. Josh Boone's guarding him now. Pulls it out. Going to attack. And so if he's attacking this left side, again, he's reading David Anderson. Does he step in? Steps in as a kick out like he does. If he stays, he's going to attack to the next level. So he's in. He's got these two defenders on him. Got a good shooter here. So gets him to attack. Does a good job of jumping, making this pass. So young players, you can jump to make a pass like this, but you can never jump to look for a pass or to find a pass. So that's fine. It's right on time, right on target. Gets the 3 points this time. If you're a Nugget fan, this play looks really familiar. It's in secondary transition. You'll see a lot from Jamal and Nikola Jokic. Just a motion screen here. You just kind of bump into him here. He's going to reject it. Get Josh Boone to come a little bit with him, and he's going to throw a simple behind the back pass to the top of the key. Nuggets run this all the time to get Jokic a top of the key three. So rejects it, throws it back, gets for a top of Q3. So something that you'll see a lot in Denver. He's able to do it, step right in and do it. Again, here gets it in a secondary transition, tries to take him off the bounce, gets a little bounce happy here. A lot of moves. As you see again, they have this wall. They're trying to stop penetration. If you're making 2 to 3 moves and you can't get into the paint, you got to move it. You can't be dribbling the air out of the ball. So Blanchard does a good job of sliding, stripping him there. So he's just got to be stronger. Coming out almost to a jump stop there. So take that dribble, hop into him, get on 2 feet, be able to make a play out of that. But that's just going to come with maturity and strength. So not terribly worried about that. Here he turns it over on a travel. So they run a side pick and roll, this time with Sek Henry. They swing it one more. This has to be a catch and shoot. I know he's working on his jump shot. I know he shot 30% last year. But you need to keep the defense honest here. This is the right shot for the team. You're not going to get a better shot than this. It's only 14 seconds left. So just to take the shot. He doesn't. Decides to pump fake and attack. Switches his pivot feet. They call it travel. If it wasn't a travel, it was a charge. So he's going to be more in control when he's attacking. Read that defender. That defender's feet are here, facing this way. He wants to attack this top foot, but he's a good defender. He's got his feet this way. He's able to take a step up and draw that charge. It happens all the time in the NBA. They come out feet like this, expecting the player to attack the top foot. He's far enough away that he can still lunge before RJ can get to that top foot. So a couple of things you just got to work on there, but just trust the shot, catch and shoot that, especially if you're catching a pass in the Nuggets offense. Despite how much Gary Harris struggled in the playoffs, he was still shooting this every time, and rightfully so. So again, here they're pressing Illawarra. They're down 10. There's 50 seconds left to go, or down 9. RJ did a good job of being patient. Gets LaMelo here, but has to read this right away. Either snake in here so LaMelo's on his back, or give that right up to Finn. But seeing this defender come sprinting up, you know a trap's coming. So you either got to attack the trap or you got to get out of it, get the ball out. So takes it in deep, tries to get a reverse dribble and then spin out of it, which is even tougher. Just got to get the ball out and understand time and possession. It's the most important part at that stage of the game. Now, we're going to look at the defensive side of the ball. This is a little bit of off ball and on ball. So to start the possession, he's right here on the elbow. He's going to come up and set this back flare screen. This is a tough action to guard, especially although Sunday's not a great shooter. If it's a good shooter here, this is really tough to guard. Do you follow or do you go underneath? So he waits for the screen, ends up following on top because he bails out of the screen. So it does a good job of running towards the bottom hip. It's important to run towards the bottom hip because if you run to the top, you try to steal that pass that you're not sure is coming because your back's turned. He's just going to go back door. So runs to that bottom hip. He still tries to go back door, but again, because he runs to that bottom hip, he's got it covered. He's got his arm extended in the passing lane, so that's a really tough pass, really long pass, so they're not going to make that. Then gets into the post, much heavier player, so does a good job of competing there. So he does a ton well on this play from the off-ball defense position. So he starts here. They run a play here where they're going to set a screen here. And this is something that you'll see in Princeton offense. I talked a little bit about it in the Trey Jones video, where he's going to come up to the screen. So the screen's right here. He can either go backdoor here or come over top. As a defender, it's easy to get stuck on his top hip, and that pushes him backdoor. So what you got to do is lock into that bottom hip, which he does. He sprints up to that bottom hip. He's coming off that really hard. He gets really narrow here, which is really good. So he's coming off the screen perfectly. Something Paul George does extremely well. He just comes off screens really narrow. So it gets his shoulders around the screen. So shoulders are here. He stays attached with the arm and follows him through the screen. He ends up popping back out here for the reverse pass, but he's not able to curl this because he's attached. So that's a really good job there. Now, closes out within reach. Does a good job just coming out flat, not giving him an advantage, having him move the ball. So jumps to the ball a little bit. Now the flare screen's coming. Does a good job of getting around it and staying attached. They were looking for a little bit of a lob here, but he does a good job of getting around it quickly and stopping that. Then the ball gets knocked out. Now they're down a defender. So LaMelo's going to attack here, attack this defender here. So this is who RJ's guarding. He's stepping up right now. He's got to read the next pass or the next play. So if LaMelo keeps the ball and attacks, he's got to be there and help. If he swings it to his defender, he's got to get out. So he's in good position here, sees the pass coming, closes out to the top hip. He's going to catch, so then he's going to catch and shoot. He's the second one off the floor, contests with a high hand, makes him airball it. This is where he really has to improve. So he's guarding an opposite wing. Again, not the best shooter here in the corner. There's a pick and roll coming. LaMelo's getting downhill. He's the guy that LaMelo's reading on the drive. Like we were talking about with RJ, the guys he was reading. He's got to realize he's got to stop ball first. They're running a Spain pick and roll here. So what that is, it's a pick and roll. And then it's going to be a back screen for the roller. So Josh Boone's going to roll here. Blanchfield's going to follow to the top of the key. So this is really important that RJ's in help because opposite shooter's high. He's above free throw line extended. So that eliminates him, Finn Delaney here, from help side. So the only help in the paint is RJ right now. So this has to be a stunt at the very least, but he should be stepping in front of the ball. Instead, he doesn't move his feet at all and ends up getting an and one. So again, he's weak side off of pick and roll. LaMelo's coming off this side. He's on two ball sides, or two shooter side. So he's the low man. When you're the low man, you have to tag a pick and roll. So again, what that is he's coming off the screen, he's rolling. RJ's got to come over here, tag the roller, meaning discouraging that over the head pass. the over-the-top pass to the roller. He's there to discourage that, force LaMelo to make a tough pass to the corner where he can recover. So he rolls here. RJ didn't tag where he should have. So he realizes that now he's late. He does a good job of recovering here and not jumping right away. A lot of the young guys will jump, try to block this. Ogilvy's not the most athletic, so he's going to pump almost every time when help's coming over fast like this. Does a good job staying on his feet, swiping, and making a miss. But NBA guys going to catch this and dunk it every time. He's got to be there for that tag. Here's a play that I think happens to every basketball player to step on the floor. You're going to get beat backdoor at some point. He was coming from a standstill, tries to make up for that, and comes flying up. Sunday, a smart player just runs up and goes backdoor. What you like to see, he doesn't stop competing. He comes from behind, ends up getting called for goaltending, but if you're a shooting guard, your point guard's doing this, you'll be in good shape defensively. Here's just an effort play. Shot goes up. He's going to try to rebound it. See the ball isn't secured and just goes after it. Gotta love those kind of plays. Last thing we'll look at here is this on-ball defense. So here New Zealand's in a switch pick and roll coverage, or they're just going to switch everything. That's not involving Brandon Ashley. So 1 through 4, they're going to switch everything. So they switch. I didn't like the decision here by New Zealand to go into that kind of switching because the difference between LaMelo and Sunday Deck and then David Anderson is so big. David Anderson's a typical forward, about 6'9", 235. So this is a tough matchup for him. But what I like to see is he competes. He plays hard. Ends up getting a foul called, but makes him earn it on the free throw line. Here, it's an action we saw earlier. This time it's a dribble handoff. So he's going to come off for this handoff and come around. Here, I would like to see RJ just allow that dribble handoff to come and just get underneath. Sunday's much more deadly downhill than he is off a pitch into a jump shot. So he tries to go get narrow again, but Sunday's incredibly close, bumps shoulders, makes it impossible for him to get around. He ends up jumping through and getting knocked off his spot. Now he's playing from behind. Brandon Ashley does a really good job there. So here does a really good job of picking up about 3/4 court, just pestering them, annoying them, getting them. So a lot of reason guards do this is to throw the timing off the offense. So RJ does a good job of getting that timing off, really pressuring him, making him uncomfortable. Now here he's going to go into a pick and roll. So he's going to come off that pick and roll. He's going to go underneath, cut that off. You got Brandon Ashley in deep drop coverage. So penetration, he'll be able to cut off in time. It's more about getting around and getting up to that jump shot if he's going to come off and shoot that off the bounce. So here it gets underneath, but big point of emphasis next year, he cannot be having his shoulders parallel with the sideline. Good NBA guard, Chris Paul, you'll see it do it all the time. He snakes back like this anytime you see someone turn their shoulders like that. So he's got to come off flat, the shoulders facing like that, come off flat enough to almost dare him to shoot, because again, he's more dangerous coming downhill, but cannot be turning his shoulders like that. Gets away with it here, does just a good job recovering. So that's RJ Hampton. I think for him next season with the Denver Nuggets, for him to be successful, he's got to be on that second unit, pushing in transition, and really just pestering defensively, attacking the offensive glass, kind of what Gary Harris' role is right now. Not quite the same defender, but initially as a rookie, that's what he's going to be. Just a guy in transition, someone to be a secondary playmaker off the weak side. But I do think he has the tools to be really a superstar. I'm really high on him. He's got all the tools there. His jump shot is going to improve. He's got a better base. Right now his three-point shot's a little narrow. But I really like the tools he has, the foundation he has. As long as he gets stronger, I definitely see a path for him to be a superstar in this league. So Denver Nuggets got a really good one here. But definitely stay tuned. Trey Jones is out. Onyeka Okongwu's out. I'm going to come with more players, both on women's and men's side. And just keep sending your requests. Let me know who you want me to look at. But yeah, like, subscribe, comment on our sports